Welcome friends, welcome to another LR set, and let me tell you that this is the set where I am doing it as per my method or as per the method which I applied while doing it. But if you have a better method, please share it, or please send it to us, and or please create a new video with the same title so that other people can see that you have done it in a much faster way and in a much better way than me, or you have made it understood to the audience in a better way. Okay, we are not here to say that I am the only one who is better in doing this. Obviously I have also learned it from somebody else, and he was far better than me, and I have just tried to be like him. But obviously this is a field where anybody can be a master and anybody can be a teacher. It depends how you have understood this question and how you have gone about it. So don't think that the method or the way that I am solving is the only way. You can do it by your own method, your own way to solve. The thing is, if such kind of questions comes in entrance test, obviously time is a factor. So if you can solve it in less amount of time, it's always good, and it's always better than somebody else's method who has taken more time. Okay, let's not waste further time, so let us do this. And I will be doing it as per my understanding, and again I am telling you that you can do it as per your method. The thing is, you should get the correct answers. There are 3 questions, you should get the correct answers for all the 3. Okay, so it says that 2 of the 4 boys A, B, C and D are playing TT. Let us say TT stands for table tennis. So out of the 4 boys, 2 of them are playing TT. Which 2? I don't know. It can be any one of them, A and C, B and D, or it can be C and B, or C and A, any pair of 2. They can be playing table tennis. Okay, fine. So now let's look at the 4 statements. The whole crux lies in these 4 statements, so you can go through them again and again. I went through them at least 5-6 times or 7-8 times, I don't remember, before starting this to solve this question. So okay, it says older of A and C is the shorter of the 2 players. Okay, so whoever is old in between A and C, he is the shorter of the 2 players. Fine. Similarly, heavier of C and D is the younger of the 2 players. Taller of B and D is the heavier of the 2 players, and older of A and D is the lighter of the 2 players. Okay, so how did I start this question was, first of all I read it 6-7 times, so you can also read it as many times as you can before thinking which method or which way to go. What I did was, I know that these are the conditions. Based upon this condition that taller of B and D is the heavier of the 2 players, so if I choose any one of them, he will be heavier in that set of 2 players. So what I did was, I just looked at the words that they have written over here, these 4 particular words, these 4: shorter of the 2 players, younger of the 2 players, heavier of the 2 players, lighter of the 2 players. Then what I thought was, which 2 words are opposite of each other? Out of the 4, these 2 are opposite of each other. So if any one of them is heavy, then that player can't be light in the same vein. He has to be, and the other player should be lighter. So I just picked it up. Okay, I'm just saying you that after reading it 5-6 times, I was thinking how to go ahead. Then I thought, okay, based on this, it was my gut feeling, you can say. There is no logic or reasoning. Maybe somebody else could have done it in some other way, in a better way. So what I did was, I focused on these 2 things, heavy and light, of the 2 players. I know there are 2 players. Let me do it in some other color to get a contrast, better contrast. Okay, so I know there are 2 players. I don't know who are they, but I know that okay, these are the conditions, these are the conditions, these are the comparisons made between them. Okay, so what I focused at, heavy and light. So okay, I am writing H for heavy, hope you can see it, H for heavy, L for light. Similarly, I will be preparing one over here, heavier. Let us make a list of who are the heavier in a chronological order, whether A is heavier than B and then A is heavier than C, like that, means so that we can put all the 4 in the heavier list. Similarly, I will come to other ones also, you can see. So taller of B and D is the heavier of the 2 players. Now again, so you can say that what I did was I assumed, I just went ahead with it, and luckily it came out to be correct, but it can be a trial and error method as per my method. Okay, what I did was I told myself that let us say that D is the heavier of the 2 players, let us say. And why I chose D was because I saw D in both the statements where they are contrast, heavy and light, and in both heavy and light D was there. So if I pick heavy, D as heavy, I definitely know in this statement A will be lighter. So I have got 2 of the players or 2 of the competitors who are playing table tennis, that is D and A. And then I kept on doing these 4 statements to see if my assumption is correct or not. And so I will show you, you just see what I did. Okay, so I told myself that let us assume that D is heavier of the 2 players. So if D is heavier of the 2 players, okay, so this player should be light. I am not writing him right now, but he should be lighter. So D is one of the players and he is heavier. Okay, in the same way you can write D is heavier. Now heavier than whom, that we will come later on. So he is heavier. And what this statement says in the front is taller of B and D is the heavier of the 2 players. So taller of B and D is the heavier. So since I have assumed that D is the heavier, it means that D is taller than B also. So let me make another thing. This is for heavy, this is for taller. So D is taller than B. I know that D is taller than B, and since he is taller than B, he is heavier of the 2 players, because I have assumed D is heavier. So with this assumption, now I am going forward, thinking that my assumption is correct. Now I am coming to this statement, because heavier opposite is lighter, so I am coming to this statement. Then I saw that it is written older of A and D is the lighter of the 2 players. Already D is heavier, so D can't be lighter of the 2 players, means A is the lighter of the 2 players. Okay, similarly you can write it over here that in heavier, D is heavier than A, to keep on filling this chart also. And what does this say? So A is the lighter of the 2 players, done. What about this thing? This thing says older of A and D is the lighter. So since A is the lighter, so he has to be older of A and D. Heavier, taller, older. Okay, so older of A and D. So older of A and D means A should be older than D, then only he will be the lighter of the 2 players, right? These 2 statements done. Now let us come to these 2 statements and really see whether it is going in sync with our assumption and that these are the 2 players, and let us see if they are falling in place or not. First statement, so these 2 are done. First statement, what does it say? Older of A and C is the shorter of the 2 players. Okay, older of A and C is the shorter of the 2 players. So here they are comparing between A and C, and then they are saying that he is the shorter of the 2 players. So A is one of the player that I know and D is the other player, so there is no mention of D. Okay, so it means that if A has to be one of the players, he should be older than C. Then if A is older than C, then only he is shorter of the 2 players and he is one of the players. Here C can't be older than A. If C is older than A, then it says C is shorter of the 2 players, but my 2 players are A and D, right? So here, as per this assumption, this statement will be older of A and C. So A will be older than C. Now I can't put C somewhere over here or like this. So what I will do is, I know, because I don't know the comparison between D and C. I only know A is older than D and A is older than C. So if A is older than C, then he is shorter of the two players. So A is also shorter of the two players. So if A is shorter of the two players, so what is the opposite of short? Tall. Okay, so D is taller of the two players. So he is short, he is tall. So similarly, in this category, what I can write is, in taller category, I can write that D is taller than A. I already know D is taller than B, but D is taller than A, but I don't know the comparison between B and A. So I will write D is taller than A. Okay, keep on filling the details. Fine, taller, shorter, done. This statement also is done. Now remaining statement says, the last statement says, heavier of C and D is the younger of the two players. So I can't take C as the heavier between C and D because I know that one of the player has to be D. A is not mentioned here, so no need to bother about A. From this condition, I should pick up D because D is one of the two players, right? So heavier of C and D is the younger of the two players. So here I will pick up D as the heavier between C and D. So in heavier category, heavier of C and D. So D is heavier than C, but I don't know the comparison between A and C. So I'm not writing anything in over here or in between because C and A, I don't know who is heavier in between them, but I know D is heavier than C. So if D is heavier than C, then it is saying he is the younger of the two players. So D is the younger of the two players. So if he is younger, what is the opposite of young? Old. So A is older than D. So okay, so let me fill in the older category. Let us fill up that older. So A is older than D. Already we have filled it up. Older of A and D. Already we have filled it up from because of this statement, and it gels very well that okay, younger of the two players, yes, D is younger of the two players, so A is the older of the two players, and we have already filled it up from this statement, older of A and D. So everything falls in place and we have filled up all the details on this side, the two players, everything. Okay, now what I did was, when I was solving this, I just attempted all the three questions and I could solve it. Okay, I will first solve this, then I will tell you that I was lucky enough that I assumed D as, from this statement I assumed D and then I went ahead. What if I didn't assume D and I went with B? That could have also been the case. Luckily I didn't do it, but that could have also been the case. So I will show you, you will get stuck if you take B from this statement and try to solve it. Okay, but first of all let us solve all the three questions so that we can be over with this LR. Then I will definitely do it with B and I will tell you. Who are playing TT? These two questions I will come later on. First I will try to solve this one. This statement says, a question says, who are playing TT? So who are playing TT? A and D are playing TT, right? So I tick mark this one, A and D are playing TT. Then these two questions, okay, who is the heaviest if it is not D? Look at the heavier list. Who is the heaviest if it is not D? So D is heavier than A, D is heavier than C. So obviously A and C can't be the heaviest. A and C can't be the heaviest. A and C can't be the heaviest. We are left with B and cannot be determined. They are saying it is not D. So if it is not D, we are left with B. Either B can be the heaviest or we don't know. Where will B fall in this case? Now we really don't know the position of B with respect to heavier or heaviness. Whether he is heavier than D. If he is heavier than D, if anywhere it is written heavier than D, then we could have come to the conclusion that B is the heaviest. But it can be the case that B is less heavy than A is heavier than B, or C is heavier than B falls in between A, C, or B is means A is heavier than C and C is heavier than B, that would make B the least heavier. You are getting my point, right? So since I can't say the position of B in this category, I will mark it as cannot be determined, because I'm not sure. Maybe if he is heavier than D, then he is the heaviest, but he can fall in this category also somewhere. A is heavier than B, or A is heavier than C and C is heavier than B, that would make him the lightest of all. So we can't say. And what about this question? Who is the youngest if it is not C? Now youngest, heavy, young no, tall, young no, old and young are opposites, right? So I have prepared a list of old. It means A is older than D and A is older than C. There is no mention of B and nowhere it is written of B. Anything else than this is not given over here. So we don't know about B. Now what we can say from these three is that A, in between A, D and C, A is the oldest, because A is older than D, A is older than C. So A is the oldest. So A can't be the youngest. And then comes B, C, D. We don't know anything about B, C and D, whether B, C, D, who, in which chronological order are they young. We all know that A is the oldest. In between A, D, C, maybe B is older than A, then B will be the oldest. So in between A, D, C, A is the oldest. But apart from that, in old category, we can't say anything. So youngest question also cannot be determined, because we don't know the real chronological order of all the four. So even this will be cannot be determined. And this is how I solved all the three questions. Everything fell in place, every detail was matching with each other, and we could have done it. Now let's come down to the point where if I would not have taken D in this one, which I took and solved this question, if I would have taken B, what would have happened? Okay, now okay, space is limited, but okay, we will manage it. So it is saying that B, I'm taking B as one of the players. So if I take B as one of the players here, okay, we'll come down. So it is saying taller of B and D, means over here I will just write that since I've taken B as one of the player, so B should be taller than D, and then he will be the heavier of the two players. So he is definitely heavier, and lighter I will check it. So taller of B and D. So B is taller than D, and he is heavier of the two players. So in heavier I will write B is heavier than whom, that I don't know, because the other player we don't know is the heavier of the two players. But taller, yeah, we have filled it up. B is taller than D. Now let's come back to this statement. Older of A and D is the lighter of the two players. So if heavier we have filled it as B, lighter should be anyone between A and D. B is heavier, so lighter can be A or D, right? Based on these statements, lighter of the two players. So first case is A, and let us create one more case where we will write it as D. Fine, because anyone can be the lighter. So if I take A as the lighter, then you can fill up these details simultaneously. Then obviously A will be lighter, means it will come over here as the lighter, and older of A and D. So older of A and D means A is older than D, and then he is a lighter. So A is older than D, fine, and he is the lighter. We will first approach with A, then we will go with this case. So this is the second case. This is the real correct case, and these two are the other cases. So if we have taken A as the another one, so let us go ahead. I'm just checking whether I have done everything. Heavier we have done it, older also done. Come to the first statement. Older of A and C is the shorter of the two players. We already know A is one of the players, so A is the shorter. If A is the shorter, opposite of short is tall, so B should be the taller player. Fine, okay. And what is it saying? So in taller category you can fill it up that B is taller than A. B is taller than A. We don't know the comparison between D and A, so let it be. And it is saying that older of A and C is the shorter of the two players. So older of A and C. So A is older than C. A is older than C. Fine, got it, done it. Okay, come to this statement, the last one. If you have assumed this, if I have assumed B to be the heavier, heavier of C and D is the younger of the two players. Now here you will get stuck because they are saying heavier of in between them is the younger of the two players, and we know that the two players are B and A, right? So if I take C is heavier between C and D, C will be the younger, but I am taking B and A, and neither of B and A are in this statement. Okay, so this statement, that this assumption falls short in this statement. This statement makes this assumption go wrong. Similarly, if you take B and D and go ahead, you will get stuck over in this statement. If you take B as the heavier and D as the lighter from these two, then if you come to this statement, you will see that they are comparing between A and C, and they are making any one of the player to be the shorter of the two players, but none of them is B and D over here. So even this assumption falls short. So this is my method, how I did it and arrived at the answers. If you have got a better method, definitely share it and definitely show it to your friends, because it would be a help to them, and it would be a new way of understanding the question. So there is no one way to solve mathematics and logical reasoning questions. It depends on how you understand that question and how you approach with it. So that was my method, and hopefully I have made you understand this LR as per my perspective. But definitely, if you have any other method, please share it. Please make a new video and share the link, so that we all can understand from your perspective and get richer through your knowledge. So that's all. So have a nice time. Don't get bogged down by such questions. In real exam, I would have not attempted this question, because time is a great value in the exams, and since it took me 12 to 13 minutes to solve it, I would have left it in maybe 1-2 minutes after examining, and if I would have not got any clue in the exam hall, I would have left it. So take your own decisions in exam hall, be judicious, don't have any ego in the exam hall, because this particular kind of questions comes in entrance exam, where lakhs and lakhs of students appear and there are fewer number of seats in good colleges. So yeah, time is of value. So if this question would have come in any exam, any CAT, SNAP, FMS, or any sort of bank exams where there is a LR section, I would have rejected. I would have just skipped it, and maybe after coming back at home I would have tried it. So yeah, thank you.